Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to the McLaren Artura, a car that I've driven before, but only in a comparison against my 2017 Acura NSX. But today, I am revisiting this car. This car is completely stock with the exception of Yokohama 8009 tires, and the owner Joel has been nice enough to give me another canyon run. And what I'm actually going to assess is how this car compares to some of these Super Series McLarens, like the 750 and the 765, both of which I just drove in the last hour. This won't be a true head-to-head comparison, but just because those cars are so fresh on my memory, I want to at least cover how this car feels in comparison, especially because it's so much cheaper. In terms of specs, we have a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6, and on its own it makes 577 horsepower and 431 pound-feet of torque. It also has one electric motor on that rear axle, making peak output 671 horsepower, 531 pound-feet of torque. And we have an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. This is also the first McLaren to have a proper ELSD on the rear axle. This has a 7 kilowatt-hour battery that's good for 11 to 19 miles of electric-only range. It is quite heavy for McLaren standards, though, because of that hybridization, 3,450 pounds. But it would be way heavier if it didn't have this carbon fiber monocoque chassis. We have double wishbone front suspension, multi-link rear with adaptive dampers, but unlike the Super Series McLarens, this one has a traditional coil spring and damper setup with physical anti-roll bars, not the super advanced hydraulically linked suspension of the 750S. This comes with carbon ceramic brakes. There's 6 piston in the front, 4 piston in the rear. Original MSRP $237,000 to $290,000 US. Current market value for a used one, $180,000 to $190,000. Compared to a 750S of about the same age, this is half the price. Is it half the car? That's the question. I do really like this interior. It feels a little bit more pared back compared to the 750. The display looks a little bit smaller. It has a kind of cheaper look to it, more of a tacked-on tablet design. The steering wheel, though, is still very, very nice. Nice thin rim, 3 spokes. Much less use of Alcantara in the inside. This uses more leather. This blue interior, by the way, gives it a really nice minimalist look. But let's get this fired up and see how it drives. In terms of drive modes, we can use these toggle switches on the left and right corners of the dash. We're gonna start in sport mode for the powertrain, and then for suspension, we'll also go sport. You can see right here, it has 16 miles of electric range, and it's not even fully charged. That's honestly pretty good if you're just trying to creep out of your neighborhood in silence. Okay, very, very quick car. There is some discernible turbo lag. The fact that this has an electric motor doesn't completely make it feel like a naturally aspirated engine, but compared to the 750 and 765 LT, this basically has no lag. Is over 8,000 RPM, very impressive. And this engine builds all the way to the top. It's definitely a rever. It actually doesn't sound too bad. I've never been a huge fan of how the twin turbocharged V8s and the other McLarens sound. And you know what? This V6 doesn't really sound worse. I don't think it sounds as good as the V6 in my NSX, but not bad for a twin turbocharged unit. Really excellent steering feel. But I do think the 750S steers better. This is hydraulic power steering. I'm not sure what the differences are between this rack and the 750S rack. Oh, okay, right there. In sport mode, the suspension, it soaks up the bumps really, really well. But having hopped out of the 750 into this feels much more traditional. Compliance over bumps, especially when you're driving at high speed, doesn't feel quite as advanced. This car doesn't have quite as much body control. It's still very, very good though. Make no mistake about it. It's just not spaceship good, because that's exactly the word I would use to describe the 750. The most impressive car I've ever driven. But honestly, this gets close. Oh, that ELSD doing its job. You can feel on throttle there in the second gear corner. A little bit of rotation from the back, but in a very controllable, predictable way. Oh yeah, this car puts the power down pretty well. Part of that is due to these 8009 tires, a sticky 200 tread wear, track focused compound. But also this car has less power, and because of that electric motor, the power delivery is more linear. Look at that. That means you're not suddenly overwhelming those rear tires with a sudden spike in torque. The steering feel here is really good again, but not 750 good. This still probably gets like a 9 out of 10 though. 7-speed dual clutch, or actually 8-speed dual clutch, excuse me. 1 extra speed compared to the Super Series. It's brilliant. No complaints with it. It's quick, it's smooth. The gear ratios are nice and short. Brake pedal feel is excellent. Very easy to modulate that brake pedal. I've always loved McLaren's brake pedal tuning. All right, let's try putting everything into track mode for the last part of this drive. Oh yeah, suspension is much more jiggly now. This mode is not well suited to this bumpy road. Here's where this car just doesn't feel as sophisticated as the 750S. It's the suspension. You still have the carbon tub, you still have the hydraulic steering. In some ways you get the superior powertrain if you like linearity and predictability because of that hybrid assistance, but you definitely do lose that honestly magical suspension tuning. By traditional spring and damper standards, this is one of the best I've ever felt, but you do feel its limitations compared to that hydraulically linked setup. All right, let's dial this back into comfort. It's comfortable, don't get me wrong, it's comfortable, but you see there's a lot more motion, vertical motion at that rear end over some of those bigger bumps. But I mean, at sub $200,000, arguably you're not getting the significantly worse powertrain, steering, brake pedal, chassis tuning minus the suspension. Is the advanced suspension and extra 100 horsepower or so really worth paying an extra $200,000? I think for sub $200,000, this is one of the most advanced and daily drivable and high performance supercars in the used market. I mean, compared to a 991.2 GT3, which is worth about the same money nowadays, it's far more daily drivable in terms of the comfort and the refinement. But here's the big but. Reliability, maintenance costs. Apparently this is one of the least reliable modern McLarens. If you're okay with that, or you get an extended warranty though, in terms of pure driving dynamics per dollar, this is virtually impossible to beat if you want your supercar to not only have amazing performance and feedback, but also the flexibility of a hybrid system and the comfort and refinement that comes along with this Artura. So let me know what you think about the Artura. Is this the bargain baby supercar on the used market today? A big shout out to the owner Joel. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next video.